So I recently read Chainsaw Man, and I must say, this manga is amazing for a lot of reasons, but I also feel like it is a little overhyped. There's definitely a few problems I have found with the story as I have been reading it, like the fact that in the beginning, seemingly no character that gets close to Denji can manage to stay alive unless their name is Makima or their devil-like power, and honestly, it is a little annoying, but I kinda understand why they did it. But at the same time, it's like I just got to know these characters like 3 chapters ago, and only barely started to fall in love with their character before they're gone, and to me, it is a little annoying. That feeling happened to me with a certain character's death at the beginning of the story, and it just kept on happening more and more to the point that it got annoying. Now, I understand that it is used as a way to make Makima the only constant in Denji's life, the only person who will never leave him, but it is a little annoying, but enough about that gripe. The art in this manga is next level. It looks so damn good. The art is very rough and gritty looking, but it works so well with the story of Chainsaw Man, as Chainsaw Man itself is a very dark and gritty story, and that is one of the things that makes this manga actually amazing. And for the characters that do get the luxury of living more than a few chapters, the character writing is on point for them. They all have great and interesting personalities, and we get to explore their journeys more alongside Denji, and that is awesome. My other gripe with Chainsaw Man is that it is way too fast paced. Like seriously, a lot of the time I have no idea what is going on because it is just jumping around from plot point to plot point without giving us a second to breathe. In about 50 chapters, it feels like it covered 150 to 200 chapters of a normal manga. It is that fast paced, and honestly, with how hard it is to follow, a lot of the time I just find myself looking at the amazing fights and art in Chainsaw Man, as that is amazing. But seriously, the pacing in Chainsaw Man is so damn fast that the story could have, and I feel like should have, been slowed down significantly. This ties in with the character deaths as well. I'm fine with a lot of characters dying, hell, it makes sense in the way that the story works, but give us a time to fall in love with these characters before you kill them. Like, give us a few chapters of their adventures or something. Make me feel for their death. It is actually annoying that you can't seem to do that with Chainsaw Man, but overall, I would say that besides the horrible pacing, the manga as a whole is amazing, and I find myself loving it every time I read a new chapter. The characters that are lucky enough to survive more than a few chapters are fun, interesting, and all around great characters. The character writing in this manga was one of the last things I thought would be good when I went into it, but the character writing in Chainsaw Man is amazing. Characters like Aki, for instance, are well written. He is the depressing guy who just keeps spiraling until he gets to the point where he just doesn't care about living anymore as long as he can get revenge, and then he goes back up by the end of the story thanks to Denji and power, and that to me is awesome. The characters in Chainsaw Man all have interesting air around them that just makes you fall in love with them, and I love it. Denji is an interesting protagonist. He is a guy who has no family, no education, and no home. He is a guy who has nothing, who was being used by the Yakuza to pay off a debt that his father left him. Denji was even selling parts of his own body to pay off this debt, and the fact that he has a pet devil is also interesting because, as we find out later, devils are pretty much all evil. Even Power isn't necessarily a good person, but Poshta is a good boy who eventually ends up merging with Denji and turning him into the almighty and powerful Chainsaw Man. Denji throughout the series is a very selfish person, never doing anything for the sake of wanting to help, and considering his upbringing, it's not surprising to see why he is like this. He never had anything he can call his own before, so the fact that he now has a stable job and a place where he can live without much fear. But all of that was fabricated by Makima to essentially control him, and that is awesome. But one of the things I love about Denji's character is that it takes almost a complete 180 in the last few chapters. Denji starts fighting to help people in the end, and is still for a selfish reason, as he likes all the attention he is getting, but it still applies. Denji as a character is one that has developed so much from all the relationships he had throughout the series that changed him and made him who he is at the end of the series, and that is what I love about his character so much. Makima is a character that caught me off guard for a lot of reasons. At first, I thought she genuinely wanted to help Denji and was just curious about the chainsaw's power, but later on in the story, when she's revealed to be a devil, it completely caught me off guard. Like, her being a sadistic murderer? Not so much. There were hints of that throughout the series, and there were hints of her being a devil too, but they were much more subtle. But what I love about Makima is that she fabricated pretty much all of Denji's suffering and even happiness throughout the series in order to control him and have the power of the one she idolized so much. And honestly, at first, I thought her character was a little boring, but after that sadistic laugh of hers and her reveal to Denji of her true intentions, that is when I started to fall in love with her character, because that shift was so drastic and amazingly sadistic, and that is what makes her character so awesome in the first place. The art in Chainsaw Man is amazing. Like, the art is so dark and gritty, using a lot of almost like sketch lines and bolded lines as well. The dark and gritty art style fits so well with the story of Chainsaw Man, and honestly, that is one of the reasons why I wanted to read this series in the first place. And the art definitely didn't disappoint, as the art looks so amazing, and the paneling in this manga as well, especially during the fight scenes, is amazing. Like, the way that it slows down the fights and lets you see what is really happening is actually amazing. But seriously, the art and paneling in this manga are some of the best that I have seen for this type of story, especially, and I hope that the anime is able to do the art justice, but considering it's going to be from MAPPA, I don't have very many worries. When I first started reading Chainsaw Man, I honestly didn't get the hype around it. Sure, it was fun, but it wasn't this all-encompassing masterpiece that people call it. But then I kept reading it, and I couldn't put it down. Something about the story and the characters kept me coming back, and I wanted to see the end of Denji's story. And honestly, Chainsaw Man was a wild ride with extremely good characters. My only big flaw with it is its pacing and the killing of characters early on, but mostly the pacing. Chainsaw Man was a wild ride and a manga that I definitely recommend. It is not that long. You can easily finish it in a day, if not shorter if you're a fast reader. But yeah, Chainsaw Man was amazing and you should definitely read it.